Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday market call. My name's Lee Honish. I'm joined by Fred Solomon. How are you, Fred?
Good morning, Lee. I'm doing good.
As always, Lori is on the backside. She is on the call. So if you have any questions, she'll keep you up to date. You have any questions, she's happy to send you a message. Hello to Jane Saunders. I always want to put the U in. It's very Winnie the Pooh of me to always want to put the U in. Jane, are you marked safe from the hurricane? We need to know.
Oh, yeah.
She's South Florida.
Oh, my God.
All right, let me throw the big antenna on here. Windy, good, she's good. Tina's in Central Florida. Good morning, just got back from the neighborhood hurricane breakfast. You're Central Florida. I don't think Disney is going to go anywhere ever. I don't want to be shocking, but I think anywhere near Orlando is safe. Disney controls the weather. That's my feeling. We are here to talk about the market. Fred sent me over an update of the 50. Elgin Walker. Hey, Elgin, welcome. Good to see you. So for everybody, as a note, tomorrow, 9 o'clock to noon, for those that have upgraded, that are students, we are doing an online mastermind. It has been confirmed. You saw it in the emails. It's all very legitimate. It's all really going to happen. Everybody is confirmed for their slots. 9 o'clock, Fred and I will talk casually about BYU football for 10 minutes while everybody gets into their Zoom seats. At 9:10, Fred Howard has agreed to be here. 9:30, Lori's going to do a quick walkthrough of Monster Marketing and Home Advocates marketing, stuff that I don't cover because I just don't think like a realtor. 9:50, here's a curveball. Steve Love's going to talk about being an investor realtor. I think that's great. At 10:10, David Bartels makes his year-and-a-half long-awaited return. 10:30, Sally Ellis with wealth planning. 10:50 is you, Fred. You're bringing us home. At 11:10, I'll go in behind Fred. I'm going to show you guys how to do some quick online video editing stuff that I don't think I've ever shown, and how to do it step by step with actual videos you can use and how to shoot on your phone and make it work for you. And then if we have time for the last half hour, for those that are still around, I'm sure Fred and I can leg down any questions people have. Should be fantastic. So that's tomorrow from 9 to noon. Are you in the, who's in the car?
You know what? I'm trying this.
Ooh,
I'm gonna.
there's two of you. That was interesting, Fred.
I was trying to. I found an article from Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna definitely, if you want to pull it up, I've got the 50 state thing that we want to talk about today, and take a look at the different states and the foreclosure rates for sure. As always, we're at the end of the month. Make sure to send in your emails to lee@honish.io and request your leads for next month. Now that the system is automated, guys like Elgin don't know this, but we've automated the monster. You just send in a request, we send you leads. We actually pay for the call center now, and we've got a script in place. Somebody just got a lead yesterday. I got a report from Lori, so that's very exciting to hear that it's all still working. I think everybody's here. I will make sure to add a link if there is anybody who is not signed up currently for Home Advocates. If you're on this call, you do save, believe it or not. I consider you 99% of you, a few of you have snuck through that aren't, but I would say about 90% of the people who aren't in the system are still previous Monster people, previous AMS people. I can't believe this is the combination of 4 groups at this point. So there's the original Lee Honish group, then it became Certified Default Advocacy training that I did with some friends up north who now live in San Diego, oddly. That's sort of season 1, season 2. Then there's David Bartels, Home Loan Advocates. And now we are home advocates. We're all caught up. And it's all still running basically off of Monster Marketing, which has now been perfected after all these years. So there you go. Sally Ellis. Okay, Sally, I will double check with Lori on that. Jane, you do not need to sign up for tomorrow. You are already in the Platinum program. Simple as that. So let me pull up Fred's list that he sent me of the foreclosure states. And let's
Oh,
talk
that's
about
good
this.
too.
That's a good one. And then we'll pull up your next one. Share screen. There, share. So here we go. Foreclosure rates for all 50 states as of August 2022 by Robin Rothstein. Who is Robin Rothstein, you might ask? Don't know. But I believe he or she, or Robin could be a he or a she, I would believe. They used Adam data. All right, that makes more sense to me. And then compiled it. So I don't care about the bottom dwellers. Let's just jump to the top of the pile. Who's number one in foreclosures? Let's look at the top 10. Illinois. I'm not surprised by Illinois, Fred. Illinois made the top spot for the highest foreclosure rate of its 5 million plus homes, 5.5 really. 2818 went into foreclosure, making it the sixth most populated state foreclosure rate in every 1,926 homes. That's not a high foreclosure rate. I mean, I understand what we're doing here, but these are still incredibly low numbers, even for Illinois. I expected Illinois, then Delaware, South Carolina, Jersey. Number 5 is Florida. I've talked about this with Jane. I kind of thought Florida would be higher on the list. Ohio, which in 2006, if you've heard me talk about it, was the first place that I was made aware of short sales. Number 7 is Indiana. Number 8 is Maryland. Number 9 is Nevada. And number 10 is California. And I'm going to guess there's New York hovering at 12. That's not bad. I would have thought they're just not processing them, Fred. I mean, that's kind of what I'm frustrated by. The numbers are still real low, really low.
Well, so me and you have been saying that as soon as October 2021 comes around, we're going to see real estate prices drop. That's what we were saying last year, remember?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened since then? Well, inflation got out of control. Wages weren't keeping up with inflation. 62% of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And with inflation out of control and the 3% discrepancy, 3 to 3.5% discrepancy between wage growth and inflation, with 62% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, that has been a big problem. So really, what we've experienced is higher inventory. More people are selling their homes. This is pretty much across the United States. Number 2 is after inventory, we have higher interest rates. I mean, we all know Lee was right. They went to 7%. And number 3, sales volume is down 20% across the United States. So you put those 3 things together, again, with more foreclosures, and it just changes sellers' minds. And if you remember, the Zillow articles predicting 11% increase in prices for 2022. And I kept on saying Zillow is going to look like a rock star for selling at the time that they sold maybe they missed the timing of the market by a little bit. You know, if they would have sold in January, February, or March of 2022, that was pretty much the tip of the iceberg. But besides missing the timing a little bit, in the next 2 years, if you read this article from Robert Kiyosaki,
Yeah, let me put it up on the screen for you. Do, do, do.
Florida was,
Yeah, Robert's been screaming from the high mountains for a while. He's had a few months of screaming about crashing. So go right ahead for if you want to read it and cover it. The market, unless you want me to read it. The market sure looks ugly these days. The S&P 500 is down 23% year to date. For the tech-laden NASDAQ composite, the loss in 2022 widens to an even more painful 31%. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who previously sounded the alarm, stresses just, he didn't, but he's sounding this alarm and he's basing it on the stock market. I've watched him for a while. This is going to be the biggest crash in world history. We've never had much debt pumped up, says Kitco News interview earlier this month. Given that Kiyosaki has previously tweeted.
Did you guys lose them?
No, am I here? Hi, I can hear you. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. So quickly, as it says, my internet is unstable and then gives me full bars again. He's been doing this since about, I want to say April or May, he started on this, the biggest crash of all time. And I keep saying it. One of the biggest people I've talked about is still, Michael Burry, who money where his mouth is, sold 98% of his holdings, period, right? And completely got out of all the financial sectors, waiting for this crash to happen. And Kiyosaki saying it, as well as many other people, as well as I've been saying it. I do believe that there is a huge crash coming. I don't think it's going to happen quite as quickly. Like they keep thinking like they're going to wake up one day and the Dow or the S&P is going to drop 5,000 points, Fred. I just don't, it's never happened like that. I mean, it happens fast, but it doesn't happen as fast as they're making it out to be. Brendan Rendo chimes in, the Bank of England stopped issuing mortgages yesterday. I'm not shocked by that. Not shocked at all.
When you have people, the talking heads, and they start saying this stuff, it starts to change the average American homeowner. Now, the rich people beat the everybody else for publicity to put their name out. Lee has been much more of a rah-rah, pom-pom cheerleader for, an everything bubble is what he's been using the term.
Yes.
I didn't think it was going to be as brutal as it was because the economy was still gaining jobs. But if the economy starts losing jobs, holy cow, look out below. That's when we're going to have some serious problems.
Well, and I think that's a fair
attention to-
statement, is keeping an eye on jobs, right? So it's a very logical approach to watching the market. The only thing that seems to be stabilizing the market at the moment is the fact that we do have jobs. I am interested in the midterm elections if the Democrats take control +2 or whatever that means, the way they're talking about it, they have the ability to write checks again. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if we're just pushing off the inevitable and making what's happening even worse in the future by writing checks and keeping the economy afloat. I read one report that for every dollar that was given out, it meant $4 to the economy. I don't know how they come up with that math. I'm sure it has something to do with the way the money expansion works in general. By putting money back into play, the money expands, therefore the money's relent, yada, yada, yada. So they see it as a 1-to-4 ratio for keeping the GDP alive. But I go back to what Brendan says or wrote in, right? The Bank of, like, we're having a global collapse of money, Fred. Like, this isn't just an isolated incident. China was first. And the China thing has not gone away, certainly at all. They just don't talk about it as much, or they put a bigger hat on it, but China hasn't gone away. They've lost control of the market. They've lost control of printing money. They're not able to ship goods and services, and the entire economy is suffering. So the only thing that they could logically do was declare another lockdown to control, and it's not a conspiracy theory, it is exactly what they did. So control the amount of food, because the country it's a communist society, they pay for the food for everybody. They started to basically starve the people there and only give them a box of produce per day to control what they were doing. My greatest fear is another lockdown to try to control this, because there is control with it. It's not a crazy conspiracy theory.
Yeah, all I can say about anything is exactly, I was talking to Marvin Miles this morning, and he listened to you. You in his mind were spot on, and he sold everything he had.
I know. And it freaked me out, to be perfectly honest. I can talk about it now because
Yeah.
I was right. But when it happened and he casually told me these things at a concert we were at, I freaked out. Everything in my body freaked out.
So that's the thing, before we give out advice, right, Lee, we have people that listen to us, and, the more that you educate people, the more that people will trust you. That just happens naturally. So he obviously trusted your opinion based on data, right? That's all we can do, is we can look at data, we can analyze it, we can make an opinion from it, and then you can give your opinion. That is market forecasting. That is future results based on current data. Well, guess what? Zillow felt the same way you did. That's why they sold everything. And in the music industry, they call them sellouts. They
Right.
sold out.
They're
They're just sellouts. They're sellouts. They conformed to everybody. They're just a sellout. Okay, great. Well, as I mentioned last year, they're gonna look like rock stars. And they're starting to look like rock stars because maybe they missed the boat by a few months. But what's better, $880 million of losses or $2.1 billion?
Yeah,
of
well,
losses?
you're getting into the age-old asset manager discussion, right? Which is
Right.
the half empty, half full. Oh, you lost $500 million. It's better than $1 billion in losses. Got to be honest. You saved half. People used to ask me all the time, because I used to, for a very long time when I was negotiating short sales before they went completely upside down, I usually averaged about 20 cents on the dollar. And every once in a while, I'd have a very naive person in the room go, that doesn't sound very good. I said, well, when most people in that position wind up with nothing, because even most banks didn't know how to process short sales, trust me when I say it, 20% gets you a parking space. 20% lets you be late. 20% lets you write up your own time card. 20% means you can march into your boss's office whenever you want. 20% puts you at the good meeting with the good food. And when we get into markets like this, I keep warning everybody, this is, you're going to watch asset managers start to run the country. Zillow just did it before everybody else. That's Wells is awfully close to. I mean, Wells made some really radical decisions early on last year when they saw the third and fourth quarter data of last year. But by limiting what they considered shaky loans, which they thought was the car loan industry, they, starting to not take on HELOCs. There are plenty of people who take these loans, Fred, like any of these crazy loans, but they're playing the game. 80 to 90% are going to perform, 10 to 20% are not going to perform. So it's two different philosophical looks at making money. Do I chase the 80% or the 20%? Well, if you're a giant company and that means your stock's going to go down, and that's the way I dictate the way I look at the market. I'll keep saying it. You want to see how real estate's doing, put up every single real estate company that is publicly traded. They are all still coming down. All of them, from EXP, publicly traded, all the way up to KB, to Lennar, to Compass, to Zillow. They're all on a downward trajectory that has not reached. Okay, it wouldn't be an apex. Apex is up, right, Terrell? What would be the bottom? I was trying to think of a clever word there to impress Terrell with odd vocabulary words, but I don't know if you can have an apex in the opposite direction. That's an interesting question, but they haven't reached their bottom for sure. They certainly haven't reached whatever the Valley's good, Judy, but because real estate always slingshots back up, right? And eventually they'll drop interest rates. Prices will become very low. Interest rates will go down. All the companies that laid everybody off will hire everybody back. Money will have more value. Stocks will be shelved. There will be baby formula back on. That will all happen. But that's years down the road. Like next summer doesn't look anything like this summer. And the next summer would be when I'd start to look at investing. Wow, Sally. Apogee, Perigee. I'm torn between Apogee and Perigee. You guys with the words. I like the educated crowd here. I like Perigee. I also like Apogee. I like the Apogee. By the way, this is also Perigee is bottom. Thank you, Terrell. So it's Perigee. If you didn't know, this is also your place to come to for good vocabulary words to throw into a conversation that impress the crap out of people around you. I highly recommend. That's my secret, Fred. I sign up and I get my daily word and I try to get them in. And if not, I'll just throw it out there. And Dr. Terrell Miller will make sure words of the day, you got to have them. 90% of the time, I don't know the words. The farthest and the highest point, the apex, apogee. Thank you. You're going the other way. Yeah. I like the word apex. I've always liked the word apex. We were at the apex, I would say probably December of last year. Definitely that was the apex. That is the furthest we were ever going to go. Some markets carried it into the first quarter. Now you guys are all doomed. I don't want to be gloom and doom here, but Fred, I cannot think of a time historically in 40 years of watching the market where the Fed has actually singled out real estate going, hey, you guys in real estate should buckle up.
Oh, God.
That's what he said, basically. I'm going to bring the
know.
prices down.
I know. I'm aware. And
That if that doesn't sound like a talk with the president who's trying to make affordable housing. And by the way, for the record, I am neither right nor left. I look at the facts as they are presented to me. Never in the history of the Fed have I seen them directly mention the outcome of real estate prices. However, we have a president who promised to make affordable housing before the end of his term, and he's midway through his term. I only see one way to do it. How about if we crash real estate prices, Fred?
Yeah, well, it's coming, and investors are not investing. They're pulling out of transactions. Hedge funds doing the same thing in Vegas. So it's all up to the individual market, wherever you're at. You know, like there's still markets that are okay. I mean, I'm getting 10 to 15 families through my open house in Granada Hills.
There's still buyers. You just got to find them. And the
There-
prices have to be right.
South Florida is doing okay. Orange County in near Disneyland, you know, for people who are on the call that aren't familiar with where Orange County is, because they have an Orange County in Florida as well. Orange County and, you know, near Disneyland is doing really well. There are areas that are still okay. My next door neighbor bought a property in Arizona. Arizona saw amazing appreciation. It was a brand new home, never been lived in. It's buying a brand new car. Everybody understands the new car smell. He couldn't get it rented up for 3 months. And I'm like asking him to ask his property management company, is the property on Zillow? I mean, can people find it? And apparently, things get rented up really fast over there, but not his property. And the first question I asked was, is the property on Zillow? And we looked and couldn't find it. And I'm like, Pete, these guys are doing you a disservice because your property is brand new, never been lived in, and you can't get it rented. Are you serious right now? So anyways, it has a lot to do with the marketing efforts, your skill set, because bad realtors could make a lot of money in 2020 and 2021, 2003,
A heartbeat.
2011.
Honestly, a heartbeat could.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a
But
jerk
now-
about it, but you just had to get the listing. You'd be fine.
Yeah, now you gotta work. Now you gotta know what you're doing. Now you gotta figure out, why isn't my house selling? Now you gotta go look at all the listed homes for sale in the neighborhood. Now you gotta see how your house compares to all of those homes. Now you gotta figure it out. You gotta price it right, and you gotta figure it out. So it's more challenging today to sell a home. As a buyer, you're talking about over 7% on mortgage rates. I can't believe it. We were at 2.625% in
Yeah. So
November.
year over year, right? So year over year, it's about a 5% increase.
I mean, take $1 million and multiply it by 0.05. That's $50,000 a year difference in payment. 50,000 divided by 12 is $4,000 a month difference in payment. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a big
That's
difference.
a big difference.
People aren't going to tolerate that. I'll tell you where it's really going to hurt. I don't think it'll hurt Orange County. It'll certainly hurt LA County with some of those spot areas. Let's take a city like Long Beach, right? Where North Long Beach is not as desirable as South Long Beach, but somewhere in that middle, those properties kept gaining in value to get over that $1 million price tag, right? You're going to tell me I'm going to sit with my backside to, an area that is high in crime, just so that I could be on the border of where it's nice and I'm going to pay $4,000 more per month based on the interest rate. That's going to have an effect on those little gap cities that saw incredible bursts from, supply and demand, Fred, supply and demand. Can't wait to see what
So-
you guys say when supply actually shows up and people don't want to pay. Because if you don't know this, I know this from the red people. In every single market that I do a red marketing video call on and interview the agents, the amount of inventory is increasing exponentially month over month. It not slightly, New York to Florida to California to Washington. Like, that's a fact that's happening right now. Every single market is gaining in inventory. Now, prices
here-
haven't adjusted that much though. yet.
Here's how the conversation goes. I'm gonna do my best Midwestern accent.
Sure.
Wilma, I think that we're gonna have to sell the property because I'm watching something on the news and it's telling us that prices be coming down. How is that?
Not bad. Oh, which got an, oh my God, from Terrell. I'm not allowed to do voices anymore because I get in trouble for it. Jim says, don't quit your day job. I want to go back to Brendan's comments real quick. He got a quote on one of his properties from Open Door and OfferPad. They were 50,000 under value of the home. Fred, do me a favor, because I know you're getting ready to list your property soon. Would you mind floating your property out there and seeing what all the powers that be offer you? And I'll just so I can see how far below market they're offering. I'm just intrigued by it. If anybody has a listing, please do it. It doesn't hurt your listing to see those ridiculous cash offers from those companies.
Yeah, I'll entertain that, just to see what they offer me.
It's good market data, but I go back to, I'll tell a story. It's my turn, Terrell, to tell a story. 2008 or 9. I'm at one of my events in Scottsdale, a Marriott to be exact, as I recall. And a guy comes up to me afterwards and he goes, I'd like to buy you dinner. I go, okay, yeah, I'm only going to Phoenix next. So yeah, I'm going to spend the night here. Yeah, I'm available for dinner. What would you like to talk about? There are certain topics I don't talk about at dinner. As long as you don't want to talk about basically REOs, we're good. He goes, no, I don't want to talk about REOs. He goes, where would you like to go? And I said, well, who exactly are you and what are we going to talk about? He goes, well, I'm with the SBA. I control the SBA portfolio. And I went, SBA, as in the Small Business Administration. He goes, yeah, it's a portfolio. I'm their manager. I flew out here to see you. Okay, where would you like to eat? And I named a steakhouse, very big time steakhouse in Scottsdale. That's the only time I've ever had dry aged Wagyu, tomahawk, ribeye on the bone like that. I would never pay that kind of money myself. $150 steaks to me are kind of lost. I think right around 100, they're about the same, in my opinion. Although I did have one in New York a couple of years ago that wasn't bad. That's still kind of memorable. But I digress. So I order and have this very big dinner, and they quietly sit there. And this guy had really flown out with his partner. They're in suits. I'm, business casual. And I go, so what brings you to me? He goes, we'd like to know if you know people at IndyMac that would be interested in selling off their HELOCs or their FIRST. And I said, why can't you guys get in? You're the SBA. Well, technically we're a private company that administrates a very public portfolio that is funded by federal parts. But yeah, we're still a private company that administers and runs the actual portfolio. I went, okay, you're still the SBA. Like I literally looked at him again and went, you're still the SBA. You have more money than God. To which they go, I go, how have your journey gone so far? I said, have you approached Countrywide yet? Countrywide was still in business in 2008. And he goes, you know, funny you should. And by the way, this is as Countrywide's going out of business. He goes, yeah, we actually went directly to California to talk to Angelo
It's
directly.
still,
Are you there?
yeah.
So they went,
Yeah.
okay, so they directly went to California to go talk to Angelo Mazzillo and basically dropped their SBA card at the front door, no appointment, and walked in the front door and asked Angelo, point blank, we'd like to buy your entire second or HELOC portfolio at 20 cents on the dollar. We'll pay cash right now and write a check. To which Angelo, as he was going out of business, said, and I quote, Fred, if you can find that deal, let me know. I'm in the market to buy as well.
What an idiot.
So when I see things like Open Door and OfferPad going 50,000 under a home's value, which I'm going to probably guess was probably 20% under the value. I don't know what that thing is with investors or investment companies where they've got this 20 cents on the dollar or 20 cents under, 20% under. There's this weird thing about investors where they get 20% in their mind. Like, I'm only going to offer you 20% of what your portfolio is worth. I want 20% of what fair market value is, right? Like, I'm going to cut 20% off. That's the magic number with investors. I've asked this to Steve Love a million times. I don't know where this 20% thing comes from or where it started, but it seems to be infectious. But yeah, at the time when he told me the story and he goes, do you know anybody at IndyMac? He started off with, do you know anybody that has any REOs? I went, no, that's already, that boat's already sailed. Now, if you want me to give you the name and the number of somebody that would be interested, who's in charge of the HELOC, who happens to be the first cousin of the CEO, yeah, I can make that introduction. And you guys had a really good dinner for it. I mean, it's a favorable move on your part. Well spent, $1,000, 24 hours for you guys to get that contact. And I got him with Annie, and that's when Annie tried to offer to keep me. And this is a year after I left the company. They kept trying to keep me in the company because they could see the value of having a bank foot soldier out in the market while the market collapsed. And they offered me my regular salary. You don't even have to come in. Just, would you mind showing up once or twice, a week for a meeting? We'll pay you your regular salary. I go, I want all my stock options out. I've been here since I was employee 300. Okay. I want my stock and I want this. They can write packages. They just wouldn't write a package for me. And it got me really unhappy. And I'm like, no, I mean, I don't mind making deals, gets me a free dinner, but I can read the writing on the wall. I'm an asset manager, for God's sakes. Eek.
Well, when you are offered 20 cents on the dollar, and when you are the largest lender in America at the time,
when he's crashing. And by the way, the part I love about this story, this is as B of A is getting ready for the aggressive bailout and buyout of Countrywide's portfolio. And Angelo still wouldn't do it. He just, what a man of principle.
no.
I don't know if
I'll
that's
tell you-
stubborn or stupid.
No, I'll tell you why. Because they had so much exposure that 20% represented $56 billion. I'm just making up a number. Let's just call it 56
It
billion.
would have been in that range. I think when I sat there at dinner and he was like laying out the portfolios and doing all that, and I was thinking to myself, boy, I really feel bad for buying the most expensive steak. And then as I watched the numbers lay out in front of me and what they were trying to do, I went, I don't feel bad about the dinner I'm ordering anymore. Like, these people are just shamelessly trying to leverage the market.
So, do you have 56 billion in your bank account, Lee?
No.
I don't have it in my bank account either.
Cash.
And
Walking
believe it
through
or
the
not-
front door with a checkbook going, I'll write that check right now.
But what it represented was that they also had to take a little bath. And it wasn't the kind of bath that you take before you go to sleep. It's the kind of bath that you take when you shut down your operation. So what they may have been trying to do is shut down Countrywide by offering them 20 cents on the dollar, because the other 80% was going to get eaten up by the stockholders and
Right.
the investors and the stock price. And
And the
they
bailout
would-
packages and the packages for the executives, and it doesn't end when you're talking banks. And I think that's why, if I look now back at the
so
last
Countrywide
year,
do,
it's easier to file BK and sell out to B of A. It was easier.
right, because didn't require cash out of their pocket.
Right. And truthfully, even more to that point, they were, I mean, the only reason you get involved in that is what is the percentage of performing loans? And to this day, I still don't know what was performing for Countrywide at the end. I would like to believe it was in the 70 to 80% range. I would like to believe that. But I also know what happened after that happened. People who had Countrywide loans that were in default just disappeared until people stopped paying, their insurance and pop up on the radar 3 or 4 years down the road. That's crazy to me. That, like, they didn't even know what they were buying. They just bought it, or they got it, I should say. You're right, they got it. And I think that's, as I look back and I try to put history as an overlay to what's occurring right now, I look at Wells Fargo. I wonder how overexposed Wells Fargo was for them, right? So they're going through the legal troubles of overcharging fees at the counter. They're under a DOJ investigation. They have a lot of stuff going on. And then suddenly, out of the blue, a year ago, they start making extremely radical decisions about the future year or the next calendar year. And I don't know what their business year was, but let's just hypothetically say they go from December to December, which they don't. Their corporate year could have been, they could have been in their fourth quarter of their corporate year when they made those decisions. Right now, we could be in the third, I would guess, probably about their third or fourth quarter of their calendar year. And if you look at their stock price comparatively to everybody else, they're a little more stabilized than everybody else. They're not taking it as hard. B of A is not as aggressive on home loans. Jamie Dimon is begging Congress right now to repeal the Dodd-Frank Act so that they can go back to making Alt-A loans again. Alt-A subprime, I mean, they're all the same to me. Anything under A paper as a major lender is a subprime loan. You can dress it up all you want and call it Alt-A. We have A, we have Alt-A, and then we have B. Shut up. They're all subprime after A. You're just putting it on a scale. And that's what he wants. He chased it. He's definitely chasing it and trying to repeal it so that he can aggressively take more market share, because he's playing the game for next year, right? He's looking at next year when prices go down and interest rates come down because of the recession. Now I want to be able to go after the people that defaulted on the, I want to lower the FICO limits. I want to be able to offer Alt-A lending again and go after it aggressively. There's no other reason for Jamie Dimon to be in front of Congress asking for the repeal of Dodd-Frank, Fred. No other reason, unless he's playing the game for next year after a crash, because he expects people to have credit issues.
Well, they're gonna do the same thing that they did before. Freeze lines of credit, drop the limits on credit cards to show everybody's credit cards are maxed out. Everybody's credit scores are going to drop because now they're going to drop the credit limit to what is owed on the credit card, and which is going to bring down everybody's credit scores. It's going to be harder to lend money when your credit score drops, or it's gonna be harder to
Not if you
borrow
get rid of
money?
Dodd-Frank, Fred. We're back to tranches and trenches and crazy Swiss people buying, bonds again. Because the Fed's not buying. Fed's no longer buying. We got to go. He can see that the Fed's not going to buy mortgage-backed securities anymore, right? So that means they're now they're going to be farmed out to other sources again. And if it's not our country, if you don't believe this, Wells, Chase, and B of A don't give a crap what kind of paper they write for anybody that isn't this country. The writing on the wall seems to be very clear to me of what next summer looks like. Because nobody will have a FICO.
It all depends on what these lenders do. If they freeze credit cards, if they freeze lines of credit,
They cut
this
off
is what
money
was-
altogether. What would this country, that's a very gloom and doom statement, right? So now credit in general, equity is gone. Let's jump ahead 9 months, right? This continues on its path. We freeze credit cards because people are overmaxed. They can't pay 38%. They're buried. You've got people getting laid off. There's no inflow of money. You're into the third year of Biden. How do you not see the federal government stepping in and writing checks again
my God.
and pushing this further out and prolonging this?
If you're not 62 years old and you're a realtor and your real estate income is your number one primary source of income, getting a line of credit may only help you temporarily. I remember what I did in 2008. I got a line of credit with Wells Fargo. And you know what the first thing that I did as soon as I got approved?
What did you do?
I took all the money out on the line of credit and I put it in my bank.
Smart move.
It sure was.
It's all
It-
going to be temporary. There are some other things at play. The Congress, the House in general has already tried to take over the FICO system. We're still in the middle of a FICO system thing where credit's really not being reported correctly. You're really only seeing things on credit that are prior to the pandemic. Certainly anything in regards to housing or renting are not on credit still. That's completely of note, but they've actually talked about Congress regulating the FICO system. If you get a completely Democratic controlled government, you better bet they're going to make another attempt at that next summer when prices start to bottom out and interest rates start to come down. I mean, real estate is still the best US economy for driving GDP back up. I mean, what government car loans? Well, I don't know how else you can do this. I don't see an answer to this if the Fed's not going to take its foot off the neck of the economy until inflation is at 2%. And that's a long ride down, Fred. That's a long ride down from where we are.
Oh, it just makes people scratch their head, figure out what they're going to do with their own personal situations and make smart moves right now, because this real estate market is going to be a tough business for the next couple years.
Well, you have to know the triggers, right? Like you've got to be smarter about the real estate business. But I mean, take a look at the global picture. Most every state right now almost every city finds it nearly impossible to hire law enforcement. Major metros themselves are battling crime at an unprecedented level. We're reaching, 80s type numbers. Homelessness, I heard a number yesterday ranging around 800,000 nationally. That's a crazy number, Fred. This doesn't end well. This doesn't really end all that well. This ends in, I can understand why they think it's an everything bubble, but it definitely smells like pure anarchy in the making if it completely collapses. There are a lot of individual things. There's nothing on the shelves, and the things that are on the shelf are the most expensive things on the shelf. When you go to buy groceries, I mean, it's just a fact. If you're lucky enough to be in a state that isn't a major metro, I'm telling you, even here in Provo, it's expensive. It's not as expensive as San Diego. It's less expensive than Las Vegas, but it's still expensive, even in Provo. This town is empty during the day. These people all get in a car. They all drive probably to Salt Lake for some kind of job. That's my guess. Provo itself is rather inexpensive for housing in general, but I've walked around during the day. It's a ghost town. This place is a ghost town. They all drive off. So when does gas and food, the lack of police, homelessness, crime, like this is a big ongoing thing. So back to the point of, go ahead, Fred, and send the last link you sent for Catherine. She didn't see the second one. She only saw the first one. I see what you're writing about. I'm not ignoring you, Catherine. The second link is the one that worked on the Facebook link. But
regarding the Yahoo article,
yeah, hold on.
is that what she's?
Yeah, I've got it. I'm going to put it up.
I mean,
the SoFi.com,
yeah,
SoFi.com, and I'll give you the direct link. Here you go.
The Robert Kiyosaki thing.
Yeah, there's the top 10, and then the Kiyosaki one is, or did I use that one for something else? Hold on. But yeah, that's the one she's after.
Okay.
There is a lot more at play here. And when you watch people who talk about the economy, certainly online media wise, and they're talking about being diversified in gold, real estate, and additional assets for what's about to happen, I don't think that's by accident. My point to everybody in real estate, especially with us doing a mastermind tomorrow, see how I pull this all together, Fred. The point of, kind of doing an impromptu mastermind for tomorrow is really simple. You guys need to specialize on one target. You got to pick that target and you got to go after it, right? And the two targets right now, in my opinion, which will be good from now for the next foreseeable several years, people who don't make their payments. We had a good run at the beginning of all this, then it all slowed down while they started to kick the can down the road to see what, I think they're all waiting till after the election. I really hate the reality of this. This is all based on an election. After that election, this all goes completely sideways really fast. And media-wise, the right will say it's all the left's fault. The left will say it's garbage left over by the right. That's what's going to happen. That's not me making a crazy prediction. Interest rates will be up to 8% before the end of the year completely. How can I obtain access to the mastermind tomorrow? Why, Juanita, you can join and be a member of Home Advocates. It's a part of our, we do 2 of them a year. We do one in Vegas live in March. And this one just happened to be online because I just kind of realized yesterday, wow, we haven't done our mid-year mastermind, but it's part of our coaching group. To be perfectly honest, I realized I could probably sell tickets for it like I do for our live event for people that are interested. I want to make this really clear. I very rarely do things that are specifically for the students. I tend to reuse my content a lot aggressively. I'm going to stick to that for this because it was kind of a big deal. People are, I think even David coming out for it, but there's a link if you want to join Home Advocates. That's a 50% discount link. You will be on the call tomorrow. Will I release some of the speakers tomorrow? Yeah, I will release some of them and use them as content that, will help better the company. But by and large, the 3 hours with the Q&A and everything, it's going to be for coaching students. So I'm very excited about it tomorrow. Do I think
And
that
for
I'm going to?
those,
Yeah, go ahead,
who-
Fred.
who haven't been a part of our coaching group on a regular basis and they're watching this right now, just Lee deserves to be supported. And as I've mentioned time and time again, I don't receive any income from this business, but I get something much more valuable than that. And those are relationships. And I've already have received referrals from a lot of people. And I'm just going to name some of them just because I want to say thank you to them. And I want people to understand that Lee does this as his primary source of income. And he is very smart. And anybody who knows Lee knows that what is happening right now was predicted last year when no one was talking about.
It was
prices
just hate mail.
coming
It was
down.
literally.
Okay, the
hate
exact reasons are maybe a little different, but one thing that Lee nailed was 7% on the rates. I thought he was insane. I really did. But I let people go with what they think. I let myself go with what I think. He nailed it. Okay, what do you say to someone who nails it? Good job, high five. Let's have a party. What do you say to him? I don't know. Support him. That's what I say. Support him. And
Nobody was saying
join
7%.
the group.
No, and I could safely say this. I'm going to be really honest about this. I do watch everybody, right down to Kiyosaki. Nobody predicted 7% interest rates. That was the most out there prediction I made. There were people talking about the market going down, and that's an inevitability with the real estate market. It was always going to go down. The one thing I never saw, did you see anybody quote 7%, Fred?
It doesn't even matter what other people predicted because we all know what you predicted. And Terrell is, a
She's the
big
keeper of the
rah-rah fan,
records. She is the keeper of she is the keeper of the Lord of the Rings
that
record.
everything that you're saying is true. Marvin Miles sold his entire real estate, or I don't know, a large percent of his real
No,
estate
all of it. He
portfolio.
sold all of it. All of it.
I mean, come on. That decision alone probably was worth the amount of money that he could have paid for everybody in this coaching group to sign up. Not that he would have, but the point is that that's the kind of advice that you give out or we give out, and you do all the market, analysis. You're the Albert Einstein. You're the guy that stays up or gets up at 4 a.m, probably,
It was only
just-
3 today, Fred,
oh, well, 3 o'clock in the morning.
which would have been 2
you're-
o'clock for you. Yeah.
And you're like you're just trying to keep your mind at ease with all this information. And, information can be overwhelming. So I'm just saying for people don't know how much thought goes into what we talk about. I'm just a person that hears something, and this is the way I operate. I hear data and I can give you an immediate opinion about what I hear. Most of the stuff that Lee talks about, I have opinions about. Some of it I could care less, but that's okay. Maybe some of the things that I say, Lee could care less about, but that doesn't mean that it's not good information for everybody to learn from. So we give this information. Lee survives his daily life by people signing up for his group and growing the group. So I'm just saying in a nice way, support him. join the group if you haven't done so. And the thing that I like about this and what it's becoming for everybody that I've noticed since my time being involved with this, what I've noticed is I've noticed that it's kind of like a family.
It
I've
is.
noticed that we can get information from Florida. We can get information from Colorado. We can get information from Arizona. We can get information from California. So we can get information from different parts of the country to kind of give a gauge of how the market's doing in different areas. And to me, that's just interesting to know that. And we're all able to help each other. And I think generally speaking, some of the comments in the group are designed for everybody to benefit from those comments. And that's kind of like a special group. And I enjoy it because I get referrals out of it. And I just wanted to do what I said I was going to do. I wanted to thank Marvin for some of his referrals. Who else? I think Richard Galloway,
Yep.
Deanne de Guzman.
De
I think
Guzman.
that's-
Yep.
Okay.
Deanna de
who el-
Guzman.
Who else has referred me? Ivan, Mark,
Sally. It's endless.
Sally, absolutely Sally. Who else? I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head. And I just want to say thank you to those people for giving me referrals. And, you know, there's many lenders out there. I get it. I'm also a realtor. So, you know, I'm competition for some, but I want everybody to know that anybody that I get a referral from, they do not go into my email database. I keep all the realtor referrals out of my own personal email database. I do not ever market to them. If they call me, because I don't know how I do this, I have the worst memories ever since COVID. But if a client calls me, I remember who referred them to me. And I don't know how I do that. I have 18,000 clients, but I always ask, how did you originally get referred to me? Because I never want that phone call. Hey, Fred, I just heard my client called you and you ended up doing business with them and you never told me. That's the last phone call on planet Earth that I want. I just want people to know my house is paid off. My cars are paid off. I'm not desperate for cash. Yeah, I've poured a lot of money into my house, so my cash is a little slow right now, but I'm selling my house and I don't owe anything on it. I'm gonna have some money here in the next couple months. I'm okay financially. And the reason why I do this job is because just like I tell my homeowner that I'm listing their house for sale, I'd rather work and do an open house than sit home and watch TV. I'm weird, okay? I rather work. I get enjoyment out of meeting people. Marvin Miles is doing some type of fair on Saturday, and we were talking this morning before the coaching call, and I said, Marvin, I just like meeting people. That's me. I don't care if I get business from it today because I'm going to be out there next week and the weekend after that and the week after that and the week after that and the week after that. Because one thing that you need to learn to do is be consistent. And if people keep seeing you after 2 years, guess what? They're eventually going to walk up to your table and they're going to say hi. Hey, I've seen you out here for 2 years. You know, they're going to eventually, and sometimes that's what it takes is 2 years. My dad joined a country club. And after 2-3 years, he started getting referrals. My dad's not the guy to do any type of self-promotion. He's a CPA. CPAs you don't ever see CPAs advertise on the radio, or it's just not, it's a word of mouth type of business. So all of his referrals come from word of mouth, you know? And so when he joined the country club, it was and he didn't join it for the purposes of getting referrals. He joined it because he loves to play golf on a beautiful golf course. So God bless him, you know, but it ended up being a really good referral source because someone ended up, calling them up for some accounting advice. Then they become a client. And then after they become a client, then they said, oh, wow, my dad's name is Fred Solomon as well. I'm a junior. This Fred Solomon guy knows what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. Then he ends up on the front cover of LA Business Journal, it's a big magazine. And as one of the top real estate CPAs in the San Fernando Valley. So he got a lot of free publicity just by being a humble, nice guy. So you just never know where your next referral is coming from. You never know if you have a client looking to move out to Florida and you end up calling Tina or Brendan or one of those guys out there and saying, hey, I got a referral for you. You just never know. And who are you going to give your referral to? Someone you know, right? Someone that is in the group. Why not? So anyways, that's my long rant. And I think
it was a good
people
rant.
should-
No. And I'm going to end on this again tomorrow, 9:00. Fred and I will be here at 9:00 to meet you. We will have virtual coffee and donuts. Sorry, that amused me. This will be on Zoom tomorrow at 9:00. It will be to coaching students only. I will do a complete fresh pull of all of the platinum group first thing in the morning to make sure I've got the complete up-to-date list so that everybody gets an email. If you don't see an email, okay, I would check your spam or to send an email directly to me at either lee@honish.io or leehonish@yahoo.com. If you did not get your access at 9:00, we will start promptly at 9:10 a.m. If you ask questions, because this is a Zoom thing, when Fred is done, he will be able to answer your questions in writing if he chooses to stay on and answer questions. I don't know everybody's schedule. It'll happen during Lori's segment, and Lori will start at 9:30. She's going to do a walkthrough of the Monster Advocate system, the entire coaching product. 9:50, Steve Love, who is a great speaker who probably should get more jobs to speak. I really want him to talk about being an investor realtor. And if you're not an investor or a part of a RIA, I think it's important, especially going into next year. And Steve has the best RIA on the planet. And I think it's important to be in there. Again, buyers, it's again networking. 10:10 a.m., it is confirmed, the return of David Bartels. So for those of you that are longtime members of this group, we haven't had David on a call in 18 months. So this is very exciting. 10:30 is Sally. That was a special request on wealth planning and protection, which is going to be valuable to everybody. Then we're going to close out with Freddie at 10:50. You can probably take a nap in the middle of this, Fred. I'll send you a text. You can take calls. I'll just send you a text when it's your turn at 10:50 if you can still handle that hour. Fred's going to come on, and if I know Fred, I'm going to go out on a limb. It's probably going to be based on client referrals and sphere of influence. If I know Fred, that's usually the usual vein he's in, but I never know. He pulls out random documents. It's usually exciting. I can safely tell you at 11:10, I will be doing something on content that I don't think I've ever shown. If I did, I think I've only showed it once. It will come with a download of the 24 video. I will take you through the steps of how to create your own version of, hey, the economy is crashing and here's why you should have me video step by step. And then if there are any questions after that, Fred and I will sit around and take them, or I will. I'm sure Lori will probably hang about. Jim Cooper asks, everything will be recorded. Yes. And in fact, it will be recorded into the cloud, right? So I'm going to do this one into the Zoom cloud. So whenever you open the link, you'll go into the Zoom cloud and you'll be able to watch it there. So it's not going on YouTube. I will probably cut out, somebody like Fred Howard. I'll probably keep David Bartels for all of you. I'm sure that Fred and I are not going to break any massively new ground. But I think I might use for marketing purposes for sure, Fred Howard, Steve Love, and Sally Ellis. Those will probably be the ones that are sent out publicly over the weekend, probably. I don't know, or maybe none of them. I don't ever know. But I know for sure I'm going to record it into the cloud. That way, if my internet fails for any reason, it will still record up into the Zoom cloud. And all you have to do is log in on that link. Simple as that. I don't think if you're already registered, well, it's a brand new link from last week and it's only coaching students anyway. So I already know this. I would have normally have done an individual link. I might have done it into a group. I might have done a lot of stuff, but since we just changed the link last week and made it a new link, and I pretty much know, looking at the people that are on the call, I patrol it pretty well. I'm just going to say it. If you do have access for some reason and you're a previous student, don't feel bad when you're asked to leave. You'll know. I will prune it and keep it for coaching students only. I rarely do anything that I don't share the content on. I try to make the real estate community better for everybody, but there are also things that I do specifically for the Platinum Group. This was their idea. I put it together literally all day yesterday, got all the confirmations. So you guys get a full-blown TED Talk mastermind tomorrow with all those individuals. If you have not signed up, please use the link that I have sent. If you are on this call, I just put it up there right now. I will do a fresh pull of all that data first thing in the morning when I send out the first link. And the link will go out also about 10 minutes prior to the actual event. I look forward to seeing all of you on the call. I look forward to all the new students who are signing up, and we'll get going tomorrow.